the fascinating rise of Revolut, a $33 billion fintech powerhouse. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Revolut, the fintech giant that's taking the world by storm. If this is $1 billion, then this is the value of Monzo. And this is the value of Revolut, the UK's biggest financial tech business. Their story is that of ambition and growth. So, we are expanding, you guys, quite aggressively. Expanding to India, Australia, Canada, Singapore, Hong Kong, but also facing criticism and obstacles that paved their way toward the top of the banking world. So, how is this possible, and can it really last? The tech sector revolutionized finance and the whole idea of what banks can be. It created a number of underdog companies that, in the past, would never have stood a chance against the big banks. It's David versus Goliath, and the thing that allowed this change to happen is data. You see, finance is all about information. Gordon Gekko said that information is the most valuable commodity. Wouldn't you agree? He's got a point, because whoever knows the most wins, and wins big. So fintech darlings like Revolut use data science and machine learning to provide a service that's smart and tailored to each one of us. Budgeting, investments, everything. So if before banks looked like this, now they look more like this. And here's where Revolut's story begins. It's 2015, and you're Nikolay Storonsky, a Russian fellow with a passion for mathematics and a past as a competitive swimmer. Your father is a top manager at the Russian energy corporation Gazprom, and since you were a little kid, you had big plans for yourself. So you go and study physics at the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, one of the top universities in the country. But your heart is really drawn to finance. So, what do? Of course, you pack your bags and move to London to work as a trader at Lehman Brothers. It's the baptism into the banking world, but that's also when you get one of the toughest lessons of your life. Lehman Brothers is going bankrupt. In 2008, Lehman Brothers implodes, and in the economic crisis that follows, you lose over £500,000. It's a major blow, and that's when things change. You start to imagine a bank whose decisions are constantly driven by data and models, where there's no room for mistakes. So, a little later, in 2013, at age 29, you think of creating something different. You get together with Vlad Yatsenko, a young Ukrainian software developer. He studied in Kiev and shares the same passion as you, which is disrupting old industries. In fact, Yatsenko worked for big banks like UBS and Deutsche and realized that the system is working like it's the 80s and people are still listening to Bon Jovi. So, Yatsenko and Storonsky got together in Level 39, a co-working space for startups, and in July 2015, founded Revolut. Storonsky is the CEO, and Yatsenko is the CTO. Now, when it came to strategy, the founders knew exactly who their customers were. It was mostly young people who travel and work abroad. So, with this in mind, they cracked two problems. First, opening a normal bank account is a nightmare. So, with their startup, the experience had to be seamless, like going on Instagram. Revolut had to be a digital service based on an app that's easy to use. Second, Yatsenko and Storonsky were foreign, and they struggled to send money around the world. So, one of the first features was the chance to send money abroad with low fees and allow cheap ATM withdrawals all over the world. This was an immediate success, and a year later, in 2016, the company had 100,000 customers and received $15 million in fundraising. Not bad. Then, in 2017, they launched a crypto trading platform to ride the wave of blockchain technology. Now we have another 3 million customers across Europe and received an additional 66 million to fund their expansion. And that's when their problems started. Revolut is under attack for its aggressive work culture. You see, it's true that data science and algorithms allowed these small neobanks to challenge the giant institutions. But still, when you run a small company, you're at a disadvantage. At any moment, boom, you might vanish, and the dream is over. So you need to keep running. Or at least that's what Storonsky thinks. In fact, Revolut has been criticized in the press for promoting a toxic culture, unsustainable hours where people work around the clock, including weekends, and where some employees decided to quit due to psychological exhaustion. But is it true? Well, Storonsky denied that Revolut pushes its people towards burnout, but he made it no secret that he believes the work-life balance is dangerous. It's what kills your company. He works 24/7 and takes few holidays, and he hires people that have the same approach. That's the reason behind the high turnover of top managers and other specialists. So, when you think of Revolut, forget the Google or Amazon sort of tech hippie vibe, offices with PlayStations and employees taking sabbaticals and resting in Thailand, none of that. At Revolut, the motto is to get done. Why? Because Storonsky believes that when you're a startup, you either scale up or die. So when he was asked who his role model is, he said Elon Musk, which is kind of ironic, as Elon's another guy that's been criticized for pushing a hustle culture. But despite all of this, Revolut grew faster than France under Napoleon. The entire philosophy is based on the idea of rapid expansion, spitting out new inventions like a machine gun, cashback programs, crypto trading, travel insurance, new payment methods. That's how, in April 2018, Revolut reached a valuation of $1.7 billion. And what's the money for? We are building global bank alternatives. So we're expanding the US, we're expanding in Canada, India, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore. In 2019, Revolut sails across the ocean and conquers Australia and Singapore, getting a customer base of 10 million. In 2020, they reached Japan and the United States. But it's in 2021 when they reached the top. Revolut caught the eye of SoftBank and Tiger Global, two of the most bullish funds out there, who sponsored companies like WeWork, Boston Dynamics, and Uber. And this new injection made Revolut the biggest private tech group in British history. We're talking $33 billion. That's 7 times bigger than its rival Monzo, and even the UK Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, who at the time was Chancellor of the Exchequer, complimented the climb. So, is this a victory, right? Not even close, because Revolut lacks one fundamental thing, a UK banking license. And that's a whole different matter. In fact, it's a political interest to see you applying for this UK banking license. Why do you find these buyers? 25 million customers. Revolut doesn't actually have a banking license in the UK. They applied for it 2 years ago, and so far, there's not been a green light. And trust me, they're not happy about it. But what's the reason? According to the Financial Times, the main problems are leadership and the tough working culture. The FT says the FCA and the Bank of England took a look and were alarmed by it, by the constant pressure to achieve results and the tendency of giving brutal, honest feedback to colleagues and peers. And not only that. According to the FT, there needs to be more control over financial regulation. But Revolut denied the allegations of being loose when it comes to fighting money laundering and financial crime. And they weren't about to let these allegations stop their expansion, because Revolut's ambition has always been to be an international financial super app. That's why they started conquering the European market, and already back in 2018 received a banking license in Lithuania. And after Europe, the US, India, and New Zealand will be next. So what lies ahead for Revolut? Right now, there's inflation and an economic crisis that may hinder their plans of expansion. But they do continue to introduce new products. Recently, they launched Revolut Chat, an instant messaging feature that Storonsky referred to as being one step closer to a global financial super app. You go a long way pretty quickly. This is a move that shows just how much Revolut is pioneering this new era of neobanks. Those bank CEOs that we were just talking to there, they've got legacy issues to deal with while also putting further pressure on legacy banks who just can't cope with the change. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Revolut's journey. If you found this video insightful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth stories about the biggest names in tech and finance. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.